BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Big Country Preps Wednesday night podcast, our weekly look at the area athletic scene, what happened last week, and what's going on this week. I'm here with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, Dan, we got a very special guest. We've got Jim Ned girls basketball coach Hunter Cooley joining the show.
Yeah, Coach Cooley, obviously a long time now, coach of Jim Ned, coached the boys program for a long time now, the girls coach, and doing a tremendous job. Has this year's team off to a roaring start at 22-1, playing great basketball, tearing through what is really a really quality district right now. So it's gonna be fun to talk to Coach Cooley about the success they're having, about this year's team. Obviously, like I said, he's been there a long time, coached a lot of really good teams there. I'll be interested to see how this one kind of stacks up in his opinion with some of the really good ones they've had in the past.
All right, before we do that, we need to thank some of our sponsors. We'll start with For the Love of the Game Broadcasting and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of KLAX 93.5 FM out of Breckenridge, KATX 97.7 FM out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Ram, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Breck, and KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is For the Love of the Game Broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bear, Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a vehicle, new or used, give Rob a shout. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Call him at 254-559-2266. That's Rob Durham at Bear, Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge. And with that, before we bring on Coach Cooley, we want to remind you how you can enjoy Big Country Preps and follow area basketball on our website. Every Sunday, to begin with, every Sunday, we have This Week's in Girls Basketball and This Week in Boys Basketball, and that just covers Big Country area high school basketball, both on the boys and girls side, keep you in touch with the top games from last week and this week. Also, we have Big Country Player of the Week. We show you the top performers of each week, each Monday. We also have weekly standings every Monday and every Thursday. We have features that we run, player features, and we run a bunch of them. We have photo galleries for basketball. We run a bunch of those as well. Every Thursday, it's also important to look. We've got area stat leaders for not only scoring, but rebounding, steals, assists, pass deflections, blocks, etc. All the statistical leaders for boys and girls throughout the area. So it gives you an interesting look at who the top players of each season are. And of course, we have game coverage, Dan, and we do our best to get around far and wide throughout the Big Country, getting to the top games of the area, weather permitting.
Sure. I mean, obviously, like you said, it's a lot of basketball coverage. This time of year is a lot of fun. We've hit the point of the season where these district races are really taking shape. We've got a lot of games that are determining, that are big in terms of shaping district title races. A lot of games that are shaping, playoff races for teams that are trying to fight their way into a third or fourth spot. So yeah, if you are a fan of area basketball, Big Country Preps is a great place to be. We have a lot of information that'll really keep you abreast of what's going on about the boys and girls side. Just a lot of really good information. So I do encourage everyone watching to go and check out the site, because you will almost definitely find something you can find useful if you are a Big Country boys or girls basketball fan. We have really dived into this season and are really intensely covering it. So make sure you do check that out.
Hunter Cooley. I think he's done as good a job as any coach in the Big Country, especially at the 3A level. He's consistently had the Lady Indians threatening for a regional championship. They have not gotten that regional championship yet, but they have consistently been in the regional tournament, battling it out with the top teams from really a monstrous region, Dan. I mean, in my opinion, Region 1 and 3A girls is the toughest region in the state.
Region 1's a tough region really across the board, just because of what the basketball that's played in the Lubbock area, the Amarillo area. There's just a ton of great basketball played in that Panhandle area that you have to deal with really in any classification. So I agree. I think this region is brutal, especially when you think about it goes as far east to include Brock and Peaster as well. I mean, these are just a lot of excellent girls basketball teams that you have to deal with. But I agree with you on Cooley as well. I mean, he's done a fantastic job with the Jim Ned girls, and he's really an interesting case because, like you've mentioned above, I mean, he's a guy who was a successful boys coach. I mean, he's been a successful coach on both the boys side and now the girls side, and it'd be a really cool deal if he can eventually get them over that regional hump and get them to a state tournament, because I think his teams have been so close. They've certainly been good enough to get there. And it's going to be fun the day when they do kind of check that off their box, because I think that this team is that type of team. This is that type of program, and it's been really fun to watch what Coach Cooley's done there.
But he's got them playing so well so often that almost every year I think, yeah, this is the year. This is the year they're going to do it. This is the year they're going to do it. And then you get into regionals, and then you're reminded just how tough this region is.
Yeah.
It's you get into that Final Four in this region, and it's really a crapshoot at that point. But they are, I mean, again, I find myself looking at this year's team saying this is the year. I mean, they're as good as I mean, they're really playing well. They got great guard play. They're excellent defensively. They hit the glass. It's really, I mean, it's Jim Ned basketball, what we've seen for years, but they're doing it as well as any Jim Ned team I've seen.
Yeah, and some guards that have really grown up in that program, grown up together, that have played together a long time, that have become, the chemistry on that team is second to none. That's why I'm excited to see what this team does once it gets to the playoffs. The one thing about basketball is so much different from other sports, particularly football, where you don't necessarily, in football, a lot of times talent wins out. Basketball is kind of a different deal where you've got to show up and play that day or you can get bounced from the playoffs. Upsets happen and happen relatively frequently. So basketball is kind of a deal where you've got to find a way to be on for that many games. So that's why getting, deep in any tournament setting is always a difficult task. But I think this team is built for that kind of run. It's going to be fun to see if they can do that once they get to the playoffs. But it looks like Coach Cooley is just about ready to join us, so we can talk to him about that. So let's go ahead and bring him on.
And joining us now, Jim Ned, girls basketball coach, Hunter Cooley. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Coach, as usual, you're off to a great start. Tell us about the 2022-23 Lady Indians and what you're liking about this ball club this year.
I think we continue to get better each time we play. We learn a little bit more about ourselves. We have several that return from the last year's team, but they're playing in different roles and just growing into those as the season progresses.
Coach, I've been covering Jim Ned girls basketball since 06, and I've yet to see a bad Jim Ned girls team. I've never seen it. What do you think are the biggest keys, really, so far that have just kept this going?
Well, I hope you don't see one, but number one is the kids. We have kids that compete in basketball. Anytime there's a league, we've got our own league out here now, thanks to parents being involved there. And then we're able to play in the Big Country Youth League. So we've got kids playing all the time. And real close second are the parents, that are supporting those kids and supporting the program. And then we've had great consistency in our coaching staff. Our just got through playing middle school games here. We've got some excellent coaches working with those kids at a young age. Cassie Bryant, April Beard, and Angie Smith's joined us this year. So, we've had really good consistency there. And I think that you have to have that to have a good program year in and year out.
And Coach, y'all are coming off a big win last week over Wall. Kind of gives you a little bit of a cushion in what I think is a very good district. Just talk about kind of that win and the importance of that and the way y'all played.
Yeah, the girls played well. That it's Jim Ned Wall is to me a really healthy rivalry. There's a lot of respect there both ways, and it's always a good, clean game. But it's a playoff atmosphere, so you get two of those. During the course of the year. When you're in district together, and oftentimes too when we're not in district together. So you're able to play that. And, I thought our kids played well. They're capable of playing better. And that's the exciting thing about a coach from a coach's standpoint.
Coach, beating Wall the other night, you gave yourself that nice lead in district, but it almost works against you because you want to peak at the right time and keep your intensity up. Now you got this big lead in district. Would you almost find yourself preferring that real tight race down the end to keep the pressure up a little bit?
We talked even today with the girls during practice about, we're working on Jim Ned every day. Who we play really is irrelevant as far as what our expectations are and how we want to play. Yeah, you like to have those nice, tight, competitive games because it exposes your mistakes, your weaknesses, than one that's not that way. But our district, Daniel said it just a minute ago. Our district has been highly competitive. We've got really 6 of the 8 teams all have a chance to make the playoffs right now.
And Coach, this team, obviously a lot like past teams, has a really good guard group, some girls that have kind of grown up together through the program, played a lot of basketball together, like you said. Just and how much fun is it to coach a team like that has that many girls on the court that can handle the ball and do so many different things?
Oh, it's a blessing from a coach's standpoint. We've got 9 on the varsity right now, and if you were classifying them, you'd probably say 6 of the 9 are guards. But through the course of practice and playing against each other, really all 9 of them could step out there and play the guard spot if we were in the pinch. We've been fortunate not to have to do that unless it was something we did by design.
And along those same lines, a lot of 4-guard lineups with Kate Bryant being the such an important player for you in the middle. I mean, just talk about what she brings to the team in that forward role.
Yeah, Kate's one of our 2 seniors, and has been in the program and been on the varsity for 3 years and knows what it takes. And that senior leadership is good for the games. Like Evan was talking about, where you maybe you've already played the bulk of the tough competition. You got a 2-game lead or whatever in district, and trying to stay focused. Well, when you got that senior leadership, she provides that off the floor and then gives you great effort when she's on the floor.
Coach, I've always thought that Jim Ned had the best support for basketball of any program in the big country. How big of an influence does that have on your young kids coming up to see the older girls playing in front of that big, enthusiastic crowd? It's got to help.
No doubt. The nice thing about that is usually those underclassmen or those junior high players are in the stands too, and they're seeing it and wanting a piece of that too. The parent support, for 25 years from my perspective, has just been unbelievable. They still allow you to coach their kids, and they support your kids 100% all the time, and 98% of the time probably support the coaching staff as well. So, it's just been phenomenal. I think it's a unique place for us. We're in a unique situation, and to have that support is, I think, a difference maker.
Coach, one of the things we were talking about was just kind of before we got on here was about just the overall athletic program success at Jim Ned. You look really across program wide, boys and girls, a ton of success. The addition of volleyball relatively recently, they've already had some nice playoff seasons. Just talk about kind of what that's been like to watch that. Obviously, this has been for so long been a basketball school where both those programs have kind of led the way. Now you're looking at really year round where Jim Ned's making an impact really in every sport.
Yeah, I think in some ways, community-wide, we're spoiled to success. Every night somebody wins and somebody loses, it's hard to compete at your ultimate best every night unless you have the parent support like we've been talking about. And I think we're blessed with that. They get it. They understand it. They celebrate the wins and when the kids are doing great, and they just reassure them and give them a pound on the back when things don't quite go our way, and reload and get ready for the next one. So, I think our community support leads to the success that our kids have in the athletic fields, whether it's, you pick a sport and we're going to be competitive in it.
All right, Coach, talk about the region. I mean, I've always thought that Region 1 in Class 3A is just monstrous. I think it's the best one in Texas, and it is tough to get through.
Yeah, Region 1 3A is by far, year in and year out, the toughest region in Class 3A. And like you said, it could be said, in any region or any classification. And now they've expanded it, man. If you really look at it on the map, it's more than half of the state of Texas is all in Region 1. But the perennial teams are the ones, the coming out of District 1, 2 always has good representation at the regional tournament. You got Holiday coming out of District 7, I believe, and then you got Brock and Peaster in 8. Just those have been top 5 teams all year long. So, it's just a meat grinder when you get in the playoffs. And, we talk all the time about we want to win district and we want to get in the playoffs and advance as far as we can, because you just never know. I mentioned a few teams, but there are others out there that are quite capable of knocking you off if you don't bring your best game. And it's just it's an honor really to get to play in that. It'd be nice to get to the top of that heap once or twice, and you battle every year. The whole time on the girls' side, I don't know that anybody that has ever repeated in Region 1, but I think we've had 8 state champions come out of Region 1 in that 10-year time frame. So, like I said, it's very competitive.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. And as always, we'll be keeping a very close eye on the Jim Ned Lady Indians.
Thank you, guys.
And that was Hunter Cooley, the head girls basketball coach over at Jim Ned. He's really done a whale of a job, and they've got to get over this regional hurdle that has been kind of bogging them down in recent years. But I mean, they're always there in contention. One of the best teams in the region. And I'd love to see Hunter get that trip to state. He's been there with the boys. He's taken the boys team from Jim Ned there. I'd love to see him take the girls there because I mean they've been so close so many times, knocking on the door. It'd just be nice to see. It's kind of a monkey on his back.
Yeah, we talk about this every year. I mean, that region is just stacked. It's so loaded with really quality teams. But honestly, looking on paper, this Jim Ned team looks like it has both the talent and experience to make that kind of run. Obviously, once you get to the region tournament, anything can happen because the teams you're playing are so darn good. But just the way this Jim Ned team's playing, like I said before, tearing through what I think is a really solid district when you look at what Merkel and Wall bring to the table. And they're really kind of, like I said, kind of tearing through that district. This Jim Ned team's playing at a very high level. It'll be fun to see if they can, get that going, get that momentum going in the playoffs and make that type of run. Because this team looks like it may have that ability. Really, really good guard group. Very fun to watch. So, like you said, I think we're both rooting for that same outcome. This would be a really nice thing to see if they can make a run to state.
All right, with that, it's just about time to wrap up the Big Country Preps Wednesday night podcast. But before we do that, we want to remind you, we've got 3 separate subscription packages here at Big Country Preps. We got a monthly for $5 a month. We've got a semi-annual 6-month subscription where we knock that price down to $4 a month. And then we got an annual 12-month subscription where we knock that price down to $3 a month. That's $36 for a full year of Big Country high school athletic coverage.
We'd also like to remind you that if you ever see a photo you like in any one of our galleries, those are available for purchase. We have photo downloads available for $7, as well as some keepsakes and prints. So as you're scrolling through the site, make sure you check those out. You'll notice that we take a lot of photos from these games that we attend. It's something we are very proud of and something we really enjoy doing here at BigCountryPreps.com.
All Big Country, all high school, all the time. Welcome home.